Rivero, number 24, Gregory Berrios.
The Puerto Rican team just being announced as we are about to get underway here between Cuba and Puerto Rico. These teams have faced each other in the Norceca Conference, North America, Central America, and the Caribbean many, many times. And often it's been 5 sets, Paul.
It has, and the typical pattern of these matches is a Cuba will come out with the guns blazing, try to intimidate and take over. But as you've mentioned before, the Puerto Ricans are a veteran squad and just know how to weather that storm, hang around until they settle down and just claw their way back into matches. Tenacious team here.
That's Taras Ilq from Canada, the second referee on the floor, checking all the rotations, and we are just about ready to go here. Jimenez. Right to the right side they go, and that is off the block. Maurice Torres in the opposite position scores first for Puerto Rico.
And first contacts tonight, so important for both teams. They want to get stable footing with their serve receive, get that foundation set and build the offense from there. And also get the first serves in, make the other team play, put them under some pressure right away.
And an error out of the middle as Osoria sails that one long. And the importance of this match not lost on this Cuban squad, and they've been known as youngsters to commit a lot of errors.
Well, that's right. Young players in general, and that's the thing that's the hardest to learn. They want to go out and wail on balls, hit the impressive shot, but it's efficiency in the international game that wins matches. That's where Cepeda and the veterans of the Cuban squad got to rein in the young guys and keep them focused on what they got to do. Already unforced error in the middle of Soria undercutting that ball, and you see in warm-up all the guys for Cuba trying to pound the balls straight down, not hitting game-like shots. And I knew as a player I didn't like to hit those balls because I didn't feel sharp going into the match to place the ball deep. So in warm-up I want to hit the ball deep, hit the shots that are going to translate into points in the game.
And we have a bit of a situation down on the floor. It's a scorekeeping issue as Taras Ilq is talking to the scorekeepers. It's an electronic system here, and if information is entered incorrectly, it can get very confusing very quickly.
And hopefully the officials have this sorted out quickly, nail down the rotations and the correct scoring. You get the hands up signal there from the second referee. We're good to play ball.
To the outside, and Cuba pays the price as Torres shuts the door on that one.
Great read from the Puerto Rican block. It's Roman and Torres working to their right as a unit out there together, and great penetration, great press back in court from Torres.
Another weak pass, and it's a wing shot, but this one is down.
That's Jimenez there righting the wrong in that attack. Or excuse me, Uriarte. We saw in World League that he was a little bit streaky against the Canadians when they played a couple matches in Calgary. He came out well on a few balls and strung errors together. One of each so far from number 14.
And was there a touch called? Yes, there was. It was a microscopic fingernail touch, but caught effectively by the head official, Gianni Nava.
Roman is the biggest jumper, but he's in super fast, which makes him a threat all the time. Great hustle there from the middle blocker.
Early stages of set one. This is a best of 5 match to 25 points. If it goes to the 5th set, it will be to 15. And it is rally point as Cepeda puts it into the net. Manix Roman, the 32-year-old on the end line for Puerto Rico. And he returns the favor. Into the net it goes.
Nobody wanting to put the ball in play yet. Testing out the equipment. Net's been put up well.
There's the 19-year-old Uriarte. And he just puts a nice easy roll shot in. And that's why teams serve hard, because the serve receive to transition game is just so efficient.
And the Puerto Rican middles know they have to have movement in their approach, create some angles with their jump. Escalante doing that, starting in a position to attack a 31 and drifting into that set, floating past the Cuban middle blocker.
Torres, super high toss. 5-meter set. Can Cepeda finish it? No, it is down. And another point on the block for Puerto Rico.
Escalante, number 7 in the middle of the court, relaxed and ready to read. As soon as he saw that pass was off the net from the Cubans, his hands dropped and he went to full read mode. Great fast step to his left and closes it for the block.
Set up on the first one, of course, by the big serve, but this one a miss. And one of the things we've seen from Cuba over the years is their inability to be pinpoint passers against tough serving teams. It's 3 or 4 meters back and they have to rely on their athleticism. They're going to need more than that in this tournament. There's a tough one. And the block is there. The net sealed tight.
Well, Rivera, he's 27 years old. He's got to have a little more sense of what's going on in that rally. It's a broken play. Cuba knows exactly that he's going to be set. They've got a big 3-man block and he's trying to put that ball to the floor. He's got to hit a soft shot, work the hands, let his team cover, get a better attack opportunity following that.
So Puerto Rico at the first technical timeout is up on Cuba by 3 points. It is 8-5 here. And let's go down to Brenda.
Well, Paul and Charles, you know, Puerto Rico, they're in the midst of a financial crisis right now, and it really has impacted this team. Javier Gaspar, the head coach, says that the team has not been paid since August because of it. And he said the players, they knew it was coming. Some have taken side jobs to make ends meet, but most, they play for pro teams in Puerto Rico, so do pick up some sort of salary. But Gaspar says, you know, their national federation has really supported them as much as they could in the lead up to this Olympic qualifier, so that it would go as smoothly as possible for the team.
Well, of course, you always want to have the opportunity to train together. A lot of the Canadians go over and play in Europe on pro teams to make their salaries.
That's right, and the financial conditions around the world are difficult in different parts of the world. TJ Sanders from the Canadian team thought he had a contract coming out of the summer. He's going to be heading over to Europe, only to find out that there was issues with the president and another member of that club. Financial difficulty ensued, and he didn't have a job to go to, had to stay in the full-time center. But I have to feel for these Puerto Rican guys. I mean, the commitment in terms of the training that you need to give to play at this level, and have the distraction of wondering where the next check's coming from. You know, if these guys have families, rent to take care of, things like that, it's a very difficult situation.
Well, into the net it goes again. A lot of misses here early in the first set. Jimenez is huge on that left side of the court.
He is. He's a big blocker, great jumper. Does an excellent job of stepping out and getting in line with the approach here. Morales taking that away, big block.
ball finds its way through. That's Ezequiel Sanchez.
Osorio getting work there, the middle blocker for Cuba. Hands late, penetrating, kind of soft. Cepeda had set the block in a decent position, but Osorio can't seal it up.
There's a little force in the middle, and an over bump. Oh, that was a gift for Jimenez. Puerto Rico wastes a golden chance there.
It hit the setter number 2. Goyas on the right of your screen has a thought about going up and blocking this, but sees Jimenez and puts up the token hands.
Oh, big serve. Can he save it? Yes. Puerto Rico keeps it alive. Here comes Cuba. And Cepeda makes no mistake.
Well, the scrappy Puerto Ricans led by Torres there going through the barriers on the side of the court. The signage damaged, the courtside microphone got hit. Puerto Rico keeps it alive and Cuba takes full advantage of this free ball. They've got all the options, middle, left, right, and a pipe coming. One-on-one, it's lights out.
And the Cubans have been picking up their serving. We were watching them in training and commenting on how well they had been serving. There's another big one, and this one is out of bounds as it hits the curtain.
But the difference I'm seeing initially here, Charles, with the servers, especially Cuba, is that in practice, they're loose and they're ripping on the ball 100%. It seems like the serves here, it's in that 90 to 95% range. And when you're serving that hard, it can't be. Those balls don't go in because you're just not aggressive enough on the contact to get the top spin you need to keep it in play. And hence you get a lot of serves when you're serving at 90%, 95 that are going to be a foot long, 2 feet long. But when they're loose in practice, these guys are ripping on them with that extra pop and pulling them in court.
Well, they're serving well enough to give them a lead as they are up 10-9. Puerto Rico calling a timeout as they've dropped a couple in a row here.
Looking at this Cuban bench, it's amazing the experience that's sitting there. Head coach Rodolfo Sanchez, I played against him for many years, as well as the second coach, Pavel Pimienta. And back on the sidelines for Cuba's Adolo Delgado, just a legend in the volleyball world. He's been around the volleyball block more than once. An amazing guy and brings a ton of intensity to the training, which I love.
Yes, and he's been doing a lot of the coaching in the training sessions that we've been watching with Sanchez, just watching him.
Yeah, that's right. If he sees something he doesn't like, he'll step in and take over.
Well, an ace serve, that one handcuffed Mannix Roman. Back row comes Puerto Rico, kept alive though. Jimenez. Cepeda one-on-one. Great rally here. Puerto Rico, can they finish on the wing? No, the block is there. Osorio and Cepeda, and that was tight as a drum.
That was a massive block for the Cubans. Cepeda, Osorio going way up. Jimenez here you see with a smart shot, showing his veteran experience. The 26-year-old knows he's in trouble, hits the roll shot, lets his team play out of it, and their defense goes to work to score the point. You don't always have to make a kill for your team to score.
And that one did not touch a piece of Garcia, the libero. He managed to pull his hand back just at the very last second.
The Matador.
And so Cuba now has opened up a 4-point gap. It is 13-9. And there's an over bump. And that one is finished as well. And the serve receive having difficulty here for Puerto Rico.
Now the Puerto Rican side-out game is ground to a halt in rotation 2 here. Setters up on the front row. They can't get out of this rotation.
Javier Gaspar on the sidelines there. trying to figure out what he can do, but he was helped out by a missed serve there. This is Edgardo Goas. He is the setter. Chance for Puerto Rico, but it's set very tight to the net. And a double contact is called. And that was just a poor free ball pass there, Paul.
It was. Javier Gaspar, he himself set for the U.S. national team. The coach of Puerto Rico not happy with that call. Thought his setter did a decent job of teeing it up. Wasn't the cleanest contact, but wasn't the cleanest contact, but strict call from the referee. And see his point.
And another error, but this time there is a violation from Cuba, so Puerto Rico gets one back. Sanchez on the end line. Oh, that one was right off the forehead. It kept alive though, and it's a return off the forehead of, I think that was Uriarte, so twin foreheads there on the same play.
International volleyball, strap your helmet on and strap it on tight. This ball rockets off of Roman. I don't know how it hit the roof. It went through the rafters up there. And Puerto Rico even able to pay back Cuba.
But they come straight back with a missed serve, and that takes us to the second technical timeout, where Cuba still maintains a 4-point advantage at 16-12.
Yeah, fairly close considering Cuba's coming out with their physical game as we expected. On the Puerto Rican side, it doesn't seem like the sets from Goyas are as precise as they could be. A couple balls in the middle look like they're underset, but the Cubans would touch the net, for example, to get the Puerto Ricans out of the rally. But Goya's the least experienced setter. They've got Angel Perez. He's 33 years of age, has played 59 matches for his country. One of the more experienced guys, but also guys who plays at the World Cup. And when Hector Piqui Soto is on the team, he's the most famous opposite from Puerto Rico. Perez is the man to set him. He's a great setter. I like that Javier Gaspar is giving Goyas a go here at a crucial tournament for the team.
This is the hard-swinging Orlando Cepeda on the end line. He's a lefty. Watch his approach, and he just explodes into that ball. This one is into the tape.
Well, you mentioned the age of these teams. Cepeda, Jimenez, both the vets on this team at age 26.
Yeah. That's young internationally. A lot of these players playing at 32 at their peak, somewhere between 30, 32. Garcia handcuffed. Puerto Rico on the attack, off the block and out of bounds. And a well-earned point as Rivera scores.
That's the work of the Cuban middle blockers here, unable to seal up and direct the ball back in court. The press catching them on the outside of the hand, ricocheting out. Great work from the Puerto Rican attackers to work the hands there.
Annex Aroman from San Sebastian, Puerto Rico. Oh, there's a front row from the 2.5-meter line from Sosa.
I was going to say that was a quick, ran well off the net, but Sosa so high, and seeing the passes off the net gave himself space and room to swing.
the speed of that back row attack from Uriarte. The timing there, superb.
Well, it's an overload situation for the middle blocker, number 7 in the center of your screen. He has to decide whether it's going to be set quick to 16 Sosa or that pipe ball or to the outsides. So much decision making going on in the 10th of a second there for a middle blocker.
Going to be a high ball here. The 3 blockers are up, but they are all over the net, and sometimes that package just hanging there is too inviting.
It is. It's a great block from the Cubans in terms of positioning and timing, but just way too aggressive on the press. A couple of hands slamming down on the net. Easy call for the referee. So number 10, Ezekiel Cruz, has entered the match for Puerto Rico.
And into the net it goes again, so some serving woes continue as Perez is coming in.
This completes the double sub for Puerto Rico. Cruz will be playing in the opposite position, coming in the front row. Perez will go through the back row. Gives the Puerto Ricans just the option of having 3 attackers in the front row again for another set of rotations. Typically when your setters coming through the front row, you aren't as offensively potent as when you got the 3 front row attackers.
Especially when you're facing this athletic block from Cuba. That was a complete miss from Goide as he tried to put the side spin on it, but looked like he hit that with his thumb. And out he comes, Sosa returns. Pass, back row. That's Cepeda. Goes around Escalante. That one is to the floor.
Well, that's a carbon copy of the shot we saw earlier this evening from the Canadian Dallas Sunias, the lefty from the back row as well, floating in. Able to hit that sharp cross-court shot 5 meters deep into the Puerto Rican defense. That brings our tally of missed serves to 12-6 for each team.
See if Escalante can break the streak. No, he can't. Not even close. Lucky that didn't go under the net. So Jimenez now for Cuba. Takes a lot off this one just to make sure, and he scores, and so does Puerto Rico.
Angel Perez, number 6 for Puerto Rico, so smooth as a setter. He saunters under this ball, little peek for his middle blocker, checks that their spread is there, gets the one-on-one.
Rivera has come in for Cuba and Torres back in for Puerto Rico. Both coaches making some changes. And Garcia again struggling on serve receive. That's the second ace, and the libero's in there to be a passing and defensive specialist.
Yeah, lazy from Garcia there. He just reached with the arms as opposed to taking a step, getting his body closer behind that ball, more in control.
And so Cuba has called a timeout. As you can see, Cepeda not able to stretch enough to bring it back.
Javier Gaspar there telling his team, you got to change, they got to hit some shots, work the roll shots, the cambia. Can't just go up and swing away against this Cuban block. You have to work the roll shots, tips, variety. It's the spice of life.
Well, we'll see if that pays off for Cuba as Ezekiel Cruz is at the end line. But Cuba not tested there. As into the net it goes, and out he comes with Goas returning.
Abraham as well for the Cubans coming in. He's almost 2 meters tall. Guess his age, 18. Half the players on the Cuban squad are only 18 years old. It's incredible. It's like a young university team out there. Your team can play them, Charles.
It's amazing. You know, it's like an old high school team or a first-year university squad. Here they are playing for a chance to go to the Olympic Games. As that one is slaughtered.
And Abraham doing the job, coming off the bench, hitting a great serve, setting up Sosa to slam it home.
And more changes as Guzman is coming in. Pablo Guzman, the 28-year-old, coming in on the wing position. Somebody's got to get some passing going here. Kept alive, a second opportunity from the wing. And this one scores.
Torres just slicing this ball down the line, and left of your screen. And a second attack from Puerto Rico here. Great coverage. He's going to have a little lane down the line. He just takes full advantage of it. Great recognition, great pull.
Torres, a big man, 201, almost 6'8". A lot of muscle. And look at that cutback shot from Sosa after the one-handed set from Richard.
Well, that was interesting. Roman, the middle block here, 14 for Puerto Rico, doesn't bite at all with the setter and freezes with the middle, but doesn't commit jump. He takes himself out of the play. He's either got to go up and respect that the setter's going to let that ball go through, or get up on the middle. He does neither.
And this one is hit down sharply, and that is Roman.
And again, creating that space, creating a lane by drifting in his approach. That time he's coming from behind the setter, flowing in front, and lets his jump drift to his left. And he can wait for that set to cross his body and put it home.
Garcia handles this one. It's kept alive. Players are banging into each other, and they're down on the floor. Not sure which number it is, whether it's a knee, but there was definitely a collision. Looks like a knee problem.
Goas collides with Mannix Ramon. It's Torres coming off of the net. Both have eyes on the ball, looking up, don't see each other.
And it's big Maurice Torres. As the trainers are out there. Gaspar looking on.
Right.
And looks like it was bone on bone as he's going to shake this one off.
Well, I'm sure that collision gave him a scare coming in that fast. Being tweaked of the knee. Player's worst nightmare.
Well, Maurice Torres is okay to keep going, but a timeout has been called. Give a little more recovery time here. As Torres is going to go to the bench and be worked on by the trainers with a score 24-22 for Cuba. You know, it's interesting because I don't think Puerto Rico has played very well, but they've just hung around.
Exactly right. Cuba with the unforced errors, missed serves, kept Puerto Rico in it. They have made a lot of mistakes. But the veteran squad just hanging around. It's going to be interesting to see what they come out of this timeout with. We have the break from the injury, then the timeout. Are they able to ice the serve receive in the flow of the Cuban attack? Or is it going to be the same effect on their server? Can he create pressure here to get Cuba in trouble, give the block a chance?
Well, we'll see what happens here as Puerto Rico goes to the end line. Mannix Roman. Cubans waiting to receive. To the net it goes, and that hands the first set to Cuba, 25-22. And I suppose that's fitting considering the number of misses from Puerto Rico in this first set, Paul.
It wasn't the prettiest start to the match for either team. From an attacking standpoint, almost identical. You have the Cubans 9 for 18 and Puerto Rico 9 for 17. It was at the service line where the troubles were evident for both teams. 6 errors and 8 errors, combining 14 from both teams. That's atrocious at this level. Canada put together 8 missed serves for the entire match over 3 sets in the earlier match today. And again, something that Glenn Hogue as a coach preaches to his players, it's all about efficiency and rally point. You can't give away the unforced errors. That's from the service line. That's from attacking. It's players able to set a second ball. In the old days, players were so specialized. You know, middle blocker would never touch a ball to set. But these days, every player on the floor needs to be able to set a ball. You can't give away anything in rally point.
I remember Glenn Hogue saying that you can't make more than 6 total errors in a set and expect to win. And that includes your missed serves and anything else that goes on. So when you're making 6 service errors plus errors on top of that, your chances of winning go down.
That's right, we see some highlights from the first set. It's the scrappiness of Puerto Rico that's going to stand out. They hung around in this set by not giving up on balls. Guys hitting the floor, making touches, covering attackers, having second chances. But it's the physicality of Cuba at the net that just turned the tide just enough to take this set.
Well, let's go down to Brenda as she's standing by at center court.
Okay, I'm with Javier Gaspar, the head coach of the Puerto Rican team. What did you see from your team that gives you optimism going forward?
We finished strong. We started strong and we finished strong the game. We just had too many errors in the middle. We ended up with 14 errors. We need more concentration with our serve so we can pressure their passers because we're missing too many serves, and that was the difference in this game.
How concerned are you about Maurice Torres?
He's okay. He just got hit in the calf, so it's kind of like a little cramp, but he'll be all right.
Best of luck in the second set.
Thank you.
So Gaspar is optimistic for his squad in set number 2.
But acutely aware, as we mentioned, of how prevalent the errors were with his team. He knows they got to turn that around to stay in this match. Rodolfo Sanchez going with the same starters he began the match with. And looking at this group, Charles, I expect this is the group that he would use as his base moving through the tournament. This is really his probably strongest core unit.
And Sanchez is no slouch himself, both as a player and now as a coach. He has quite a storied career, played for Cuba at the 92 and 96 Olympic Games. And he led their junior team before taking over the senior team in the coaching role. Of course, you talked about on the other side, Javier Gaspar also playing for the U.S. national team as a setter, so tons of experience on the bench on both sides. And this ball set very tight to the net. Uriarte made something out of nothing there.
Uriarte didn't go full bore in this. He slowed his approach, kept the ball in front of him where he could work it with the arm. Made a great shot off the side of the middle block.
Osorio there looked like he was trying to go to the left side and take one of the attackers out of the play there, but served it out.
Yeah, exactly right. Looked to be a tactical serve. With the serve, you can either go for the ace or try to get a player out of the offense to give your block a better chance of guessing where that ball's going.
And there is a nice read situation from Mannix Roman.
Well, he's not a big middle blocker by any stretch, only 1.90 meters, but does a great job of moving his feet and fronting his attacker and makes great decisions.
Oh, and there was OT. That is over the top from Cepeda.
Big hit there from the captain, number 8. He just elevated. Takes the elevator to the top floor and just goes right over top of Sanchez.
And then he comes back with a rocket from the end line that just handcuffed Puerto Rico. What a whip he has of an arm.
And you see the difference of that full out serve as opposed to the 90%. He snapped that ball and it's dropping well in the court. No chance of going long. Great serve.
Well, and here he goes again. Another opportunity. And this one, again, causing all kinds of trouble, is a free ball. And is slammed down on a setter's dump.
Well, Cuba doing a great job of passing this free ball nice and high to the net for their front row setter, Richard. Gives him the chance to step up, and he can just take a look. If the middle blocker doesn't commit or the power hitter doesn't help, he's a threat. He's the first choice there to put that ball down.
Oh, he flushes that one, no doubt. Another big serve. And this one is hit out, so it's 3 in a row for Cuba. And this serve causing all kinds of difficulty for the Puerto Rican passers.
And Charles, you're a coach. You want to call a timeout? I was going to say here.
I would say.
I know it's early in the set, but when a server's on a roll, especially a server like Cepeda, and he's hit 3 big ones in a row, he's going to go all night. You got to do something to stop the bleeding.
Yes, he's definitely a rhythm type server. Very, very high toss, and as you say, he goes in, gets a big head of steam, and then just rips on it.
Yeah. Well, some of the international servers are serving so hard these days that teams actually shift to a 4-man serve receive pattern. If a hitter gets on a roll, they'll drop back an extra man to limit the amount of court that each passer has to take. The only issue with that is the decision making goes up, because now you have 3 seams to deal with as opposed to the regular 2. But in general, the players just take their lane, squeeze together, and can get a better pass out of this. Let's see how the Puerto Ricans react.
Well, and you're exactly right. That's what they're doing. They're going to a 4-man serve receive.
Yeah, we got 11 Torres stepping right back now. Each man will just take a lane and hope to get this ball up.
And this one is put straight down in front of Cepeda, who was late getting there.
What a set from Goes. Great tempo here. I'll have a look. He fires this ball. The middle hitter can get up and take a swing on it, or the outside. The Torres just munched that.
Perfect pass, and that's back row. Boy, that is Jimenez in flight.
Great passing allows Richard to run the overload here. He's got outside attackers coming. Runs a 31 with the middle to create a gap. Nice seam to run that pipe into. You don't want to run those two right on top of each other. That spacing forces the middle blocker to front one or the other.
And see one, play one.
Sosa, number 16, decent job of reading here. He had the same task that the Puerto Ricans had. Got a solid piece of that, but it was the late reach to his right that knocked it down.
That was Sanchez banging that one. He was a freshman in 2009, men's rookie of the year at Elms College in New England. A lot of these Puerto Ricans playing in the United States. Early in their careers. Off the block it goes, and out of bounds. Torres can't contain that. Luis Sosa, 20-year-old, on the end line. But that serve not good enough, and Escalante makes Cuba pay.
Well, Escalante running low, fast middle here. He's not up too high, but runs his approach into the gap between the middle blocker and the outside, creating that space, and it's his quickness, the quick arm, and he's up fast, makes him effective.
Garcia has to go down on that one. High ball situation. Cuba has a free ball. Garcia back set. And it stays in on Cuba's side. Jimenez is blocked.
That's Goaz and Escalante teaming up for Puerto Rico on the outside. Jimenez has to try to get this ball. It's a little bit inside and low from Cedar Garcia, and that just catches the court.
Torres unloads on that one, but here comes Cepeda. And boy, when he is on, he's an impressive guy to watch. And that takes us to the first technical timeout, as Cuba is up by 2.
Puerto Rico hanging around, but Cepeda doing his best to extend that lead. He's got a great approach, so smooth. And he has the ability to work with his arm really well. He can kind of separate it from his body. If he's flowing cross court, he can easily pull it back. If he's drifting out to the line, he can cut away from his body. He's extremely versatile, so tough to block a player like that.
We'll talk about this Cuban team a little bit. I mean, they are a storied team historically. Some of the top players in the world. They've fallen on lean times, and Sanchez working with this group. But if you take a look at their history, 8 times they were top 4 in the World League. They've been 1 gold, 5 silvers, 3 bronzes. Only Russia and Italy, 2 of the top teams in the world, have better records internationally than Cuba.
And let's be honest here, this isn't the best Cuban team. What's going on with the defections? Literally some of the top teams in the world. Wilfred Leon is playing for Zenit Kazan. If you're taking Juan Terrena, all the players who've defected, Poe, the list is enormous. You take those players and you have a true all-star team that is probably in a heartbeat top 3, but potentially the best team in the world.
A little inside action there as that ball hit hard by Rivera. And ricochets well out of bounds.
Well, it's nice offense from Puerto Rico, getting their attackers moving, changing the angles, keeping the Cuban block guessing. If the Cuban block knows where to go, they're going to get up and get up big.
Bit of a low set there. Another opportunity. It's wiped off the block. This time by Sanchez. So Puerto Rico starting to become a little more efficient.
Cubans with a case of the uglies here. Richards' hands on that ball were horrible. That almost looked like a lift, and then terrible blocking on the outside, not pushing this ball back in.
This little float serve, trying to take the middle out of play. Jimenez goes down the line there.
Do you think Jimenez looked early on that ball?
Yeah.
It looked like he had to hang a bit for it.
Well, he popped the shoot at about 12 feet, I think, and drifted down to earth.
Yeah.
And he is on the end line right now. Big booming serve. And a net violation, one of the few that we've seen. Uriarte, number 14, called there.
You see Osorio coming across late. He hasn't dialed in on the Cuban offense here, or the Puerto Rican offense. Late and chasing out, leaving his outside blockers one-on-one.
And speaking of one-on-one, there's a perfect example. Uriarte over Goaz.
Well, I like this shot from Uriarte. He comes in on a fairly flat approach, straight at the net, and is able to pull the elbow back and get a 45-degree angle, and then chip it even sharper cross court.
looked like it went off the end of Torres's fingers. Didn't look like he got all of that, but when you're that big and that strong, I guess you can get away with it.
Yeah, that was a splot for sure. Puerto Rico getting the bounces right now. Neck and neck here with Cuba, and like we talked about, they're just going to hang around and keep competing.
Well, that's all they need, just to win by 2 at the end, but you got to put the ball into play. Otherwise, you give the team a free point, and you bring Cepeda into the serving spot. Last time up, he scored 3 in a row. Not this one, no.
Puerto Rico taking no chances, going immediately to that 4-man serve-receive formation.
High ball, wing shot, and I'm not sure how that went through the block. Must have been a seam there.
Well, that nice high contact. It's tough for the block to seal as a unit up high. They can get body on body, and as the arms come over, if penetration of both arms isn't exactly side by side, a seam does open up. That's the most difficult part of the blocking. Getting those shoulders square, arms out, over and together.
Well, the serving woes continue for Cuba and keep Puerto Rico in the set. We are tied 12-12. Cuba is up 1-0. Big spank from Jimenez. You can hear the contact on that.
You see his confidence going up here as the match progresses. Jimenez becoming more and more effective. Great job of getting outside. To go to the next level as an outside left side here, you have to have that ability of coming inside the court, passing the ball, stepping out and getting some rotation, be able to hit angles.
The players have to work on their footwork a lot for sure. This one just gets over. Escalante is there. Here he comes again. Will he get it? Yes. And it's down, but a diving save. Point opportunity for Cuba. And they score the point as Jimenez was so far over. I mean, that was pits over.
It was a great read from Jimenez here as Puerto Rico looked for sure to be only able to force this ball to maybe position 4 or to the middle. You have a look, Goya's leading towards his middle blocker and does a great job of disguising it, except for Jimenez. Read it like a book, full commit, and sealed the line for the block.
Big shot to the outside, and the block is there, and it is down. And that's where you're going to pay the price. When you're out of system, you got to jack that ball up.
Yeah, that's right into Cuba's wheelhouse. We talked about it earlier. If Cuba knows where the ball is going, the block is going to be there and be all over it.
It's like a magnetic attraction. And this time it is off the block and out of bounds.
Number 9, Soria making the right move, sealing up with his arms just facing out of bounds at the point of contact there, unable to press back in. As Cruz comes in the front row for Puerto Rico, bringing them a little more offense, expecting to see the double sub with Perez coming in to take over setting duties after this rotation.
There's a big, big serve. But out of the back row, it is saved by Cuba's Uriarte.
Well, that's got to be frustrating for the Puerto Ricans to get a huge serve like that Garcia just keeps off the floor, and then Uriarte just steps up and wails it, complete confidence.
And that brings us to the second technical timeout, where Cuba now has opened a 3-point gap.
Está bien, vamos. Ahora lo importante, señores, es estabilizar el recibo para tener todas las opciones y seguir quitando el balón. Y la oportunidad que tengamos de crear K2, ser más eficientes convirtiendo en ellos. Esa ha sido la diferencia. ¿Está bien? Esas bolas ellos las están metiendo, nosotros terminamos con un 0 con un negativo. Y esa ha sido la diferencia hasta ahora. ¿Está bien? Y también cuando nuestro pase no llega, tenemos que hacer mejores cosas con la bola. Un 0 mejor que un negativo. De momento ha sido negativo, negativo, negativo. ¿Está bien? 0, al bloqueo, la levantamos, nos vamos, cambio de velocidad, lo que sea. Pero que no se acabe la jugada ahí.
Well, it's Javier Gaspar coming back to his team again. I love his calm demeanor. He's just saying to the guys, keep doing what we're doing. We have to build on the foundation we have, work the shots, change it up at the net. He's seeing that his guys against these big blocks are going for the kill, and that is the wrong mentality. They've got to go in, work the hands, make the shot, get in, support each other, cover, and rebuild your attack from there.
Right. You can't beat Cuba on power. If you're this Puerto Rican team, you've got to use shots, you've got to have skill. And Escalante is red there. And Osoria closed that one down.
Well, the Cuban block is just taking it up to another level here over the last 8 points or so here in Puerto Rico. It's just on the ropes, reeling.
I think a bit of a predictable set there, perhaps.
Ellos siguen lo que vimos, siguiendo nuestros
Using
medios.
Escalante quite a bit because he's been scoring.
He has. That's the first ball that he's been stuffed on in that kind of manner. It was a one-on-one situation, but a commit there from Osorio. He went hits over the net, just great penetration, great read, forcing Escalante to try to make a shot, but there's just no room.
Well, teams are back on the floor. It is set number 2. Cuba is up 1-0 in this best-of-5 rally point match. And they are in command here as well, 17-13. If you're just joining us, the Canadian team took care of Mexico 3-0 in the opener. And they scored the full 5 points as this one is hammered to the ground by Ezekiel Cruz.
Again on that rally, though, we see a commit, number 9 from Cuba in the middle on the good passes. He's got the green light to go over, so they're trying to put a lot of pressure on the Puerto Rican middle right now. Take that away and force the ball back to the outsides.
5-meter pass. Kept alive. Transition out of the back row. There's a touch on it, so Puerto Rico gets another shot. Third chance. Can they do it here? It's wiped. Garcia. And everybody was watching, not expecting the ball to come back. And down it goes. Uriarte just couldn't make a move for it.
That's right. It's Ezekiel Cruz taking the coach's words to heart here for Puerto Rico, using shots on that rally. Swung on the first ball. The next tight ball didn't try to swing away. It was the blocker's advantage. Worked the press, worked it through the hands, got the point. Heads up swinging there from the outside attacker.
Tough serve. Another opportunity though, and it is Jimenez again. For the 3rd time. Kept alive. Will it be 4 in a row for Jimenez? No, it is Cepeda, and he commits an error.
And Puerto Rico is here to compete. I love the fire from Cruz. He's revved up, and the guys are doing whatever it takes to make a point here. They're scrapping for these balls. There's a miscue there from Angel Perez. He got knocked down on the play. He came in. You see there he is tripped by Cruz, but Cruz got up, got back in, and put the pressure on Cepeda, forcing him to hit this ball out cross court.
Well, terrific pursuit from this Puerto Rican squad.
Lo hacemos, ¿ok? ¿Oyeron? El central y Jiménez. Si se queda uno contra uno, Cepeda, que se quede uno contra uno.
This is where the younger players from Cuba need to look to those older guys to remain calm and positive. They went on that tear blocking. They feel like the way they were blocking this set should be over. They glance up at the scoreboard and their lead is evaporated to 1. They've got to forget that. They have to play at this point, keep doing what they've been doing. At the same time, bring a little more fight to the floor because Puerto Rico is.
ball into the middle. Escalante had released. And so that one is hammered down.
Exactly right, Charles. Puerto Rico gambling here on the decision. Left the middle blocker all by him, all on his lonesome. And Osorio just hammers that.
And the block is right there. Uriarte closes the door on Cruz. He just had no space at all.
Yeah, the timing from Uriarte is awesome. Huge penetration, and that ball set tight to the net. He's able to wrap it up, take away the angles on Cruz.
Of course, blocking is the only skill that you can make contact with the ball in the opponent's court. Another big shot, this time down the line, and Cruz gets tooled.
He does well. On the setting side here for Cuba, Richard has got the ability here. You see the ball's dug really high, but he has the ability to accelerate the offense from his hands. When it's coming in the hands, wherever it's going fast. It's a flat ball, trying to create, again, a gap for that middle blocker to have to chase from Puerto Rico, trying to catch up, as we see a horrible miss from Jimenez.
That one barely got into the net, as Rivera is coming in place of Jimenez, wearing number 13 for Cuba. Makes his home in Havana. Escalante, great tennis player as well as volleyball. And there's a beautiful cutback. And Albo now coming in, wearing number 15 for Uriarte. Albo, 6'7", 23-year-old. That one is into the net. You know, the amazing thing about this Cuban team, it looks like somebody took a cookie cutter and cut out 12 sort of prototypes, because it doesn't matter what position they play, they all are long and lean.
Well, it's a group of ectomorphs. They're definitely cut from the same cloth. Long arms, great jumpers. But the development program in Cuba is absolutely incredible. The athletes from a young age are taught at a very high technical level, but also the physical training they receive. They're taught correct form in Olympic lifts, just using dowels and things like that before they're even teenagers. Just an amazing history of program and such a depth of knowledge with the incredible players and coaches that have come out of Cuba. It's being passed on from generation to generation. Just amazing.
Yes, if they can keep some of these youngsters around, they will be a formidable team to be sure. As Goas has come back in, as Cruz is out. And what was a one-point game has gone back to a 4-point game in set number 2. Make that 3 points as Sanchez finds the floor.
And what a key side out for Puerto Rico. Cuba's best server at the line gets one in, a tough one. They get a great pass and fast side out. That's what they need. They got to stop that, get Cepeda off the service line and get back on the scoring side.
Tough serve. It's going to be a free opportunity to close the gap here. Can Torres do it? And he rolls that ball.
Lucky break for Puerto Rico there. Cepeda coming off the net was still in motion when the hitter was swinging. Had he just stopped, this would be an easy free ball that he could have set. You'll see Cepeda on the right of your screen. High ball set from the libero. He starts cutting in, seeing the roll. Can't get back to his right for an easy dig.
But as we heard Gaspar saying, you can't beat them with straight-on power. Use your shots, and that's what they did there. Cepeda, second ball down the line. And that whip so fast on the arm.
It is in the transition play there. He barely had time to get an approach, but realized he needed to be a threat, so did get a second step. And Richard, he's the go-to man there. Wants to give it to Cepeda because he knows he can put it away.
23-20 as Cuba closes in on the end of the second set. Little roll shot, kept alive. Puerto Rico, another chance. The pipe is dug. And what a beautiful cutback. Richard on the set. And some acrobatic plays from Sosa.
Oh, it's the fast transition here from both teams that made this rally so exciting. The Cuban defense scrapping, and Richard recognizing that that ball is nice and tight. He can freeze the blockers and does so. Does a great job of getting up, teeing up that ball for his middle blocker, who can then hammer it past the block. It's on the way down.
Creates a set point opportunity. And can Cepeda finish? Off the block it goes, and this second set is over.
Well, number 8, Lefty, the money man, the veteran on the squad, getting it done late in that set for Cuba, so consistent. And it was his serving run earlier in the set that really set the table, got Cuba ahead in a bit of a comfortable lead that they almost squandered, but huge set from the captain there.
Yes, Puerto Rico getting to 20 points. They had it to within 1, but then Cuba just has that ability, Paul, to score points in bunches, to get 3 or 4 in a row, and Puerto Rico doesn't have that kind of strength.
Exactly right. Cepeda from the service line went on his run for 3 or 4 points. Then the Cuban block took over for 3 or 4 stuffs in the span of 5 or 6 points. And it's tough to recover from that. Puerto Rico scrapping, clawing back, leveling the score, getting within 1, and then knocked back down again by another run from Cuba.
Well, while we're on the break, let's go down to Brenda.
Well, I'm with Austin Hinchy, who's a member of Canada's men's sitting volleyball team. And like the Canadian men's volleyball team that we're watching this week, he also is trying to get to Rio, to the Paralympic Games. And Austin, what's the situation right now for the Canadian men in your team?
Our team is, we currently still have another opportunity to qualify. That's in March in China. It's a Continental Cup. We missed our opportunity at Pan Am Games by 1 spot. It was a real nail biter, so we've kind of made a push to China in March, and that's our kind of last chance qualifier for Rio.
What's the state of the Canadian men's sit volleyball team right now? You know, it's a relatively young program compared to some other nations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've only been playing sitting volleyball in Canada for about 9 years. It seems like a long time, but when you're training a new sport, it's not much. And this was our 3rd Pan Am Games we'd played at this summer, and this is our first sort of good taste of what it's like to push and try and qualify for major games like Paralympics.
Well, you were a member of the men's UBC team at one time. You played with and against a lot of the guys that we saw out on the court playing for Canada today. Give me your thoughts on what you saw from the Canadian team in their match against Mexico a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I'm 24. Lots of these guys have graduated and played a couple years of pro and are back here playing for Canada, and it's great to come and watch them. I thought that they had played a good match today. The first one's always nice to get kind of out of the way, and they won in 3, and that's really what matters for them with points and kind of getting things rolling for this weekend.
Well, best of luck in that big qualifying tournament coming up in a few months' time.
Great, thank you.
A great Canadian sitting volleyball team member and a great volleyball player in Hinchy. Nice to see him here watching this Olympic qualifier as the teams are back on the court. And Cuba would like nothing better than to 3-0 this match, Paul, and even the standings up at 5 points with the Canadians.
Well, it's really crucial they do with the points the way they are in this tournament. Cuba can't squander a set in their first 2 matches before meeting the Canadians, because it would leave them with the potential of having to win that match 3-0 or potentially 3-1, as opposed to just winning it and playing it for what it is. You don't need that extra pressure of knowing you can't give away a set. You want to just come into a game and play it through from start to finish.
Well, a 3-0 win for Cuba would also put a little pressure on the Canadians as well, because they play Puerto Rico tomorrow, and of course that will be on the full CBC network. Hope everybody will tune in and watch that.
Javier Gaspar with a few changes to his lineup. He's starting Cruz on the right side this set. He's also got Guzman in, passing on the left side.
But it's the same result as Osoria with super fast feet gets to the outside on the block.
And that's number 8, Eddie Rivera, knew the match as well. He's pulled in by that serve, taking it the inside, tries to get around. He's got to make a shot there. He's late, and the block had the advantage.
Yeah, the one thing about these Puerto Ricans is that you cannot hit that ball just above the top of the net. You know a Cuban block is going to be there. You got to be hitting it the next level up.
Exactly right.
Tricky little serve, gives a free ball opportunity. But Puerto Rico cannot capitalize. Can they do it this time from Cruz? No, it is down on the floor. Cruz not happy. Guzman was watching.
Yeah, for some reason Guzman hesitated there. I don't know if he thought that Rivera coming off the net was going to get to this ball, but that hesitation cost him as this ball pops up nicely off the block. That's what you want. You've got time to get in there, set it up for another play. Miscommunication.
And this one is banged down the line.
But Zuriarte getting wiped high off the hands there. He went to press that ball back in a tenth of a second too soon, opened up the backside of his hand and forearm, allowing for the deflection.
Cepeda, he comes inside working against Guzman. And again, smart setting there, finding the smallest blocker.
Well, Richard's been excellent in this match when he's in a good position to set the ball, creating isolation and running a fast set to the outside.
And Cepeda with a whip scores the ace.
Well, the captain's feeling it from the service line. This is serve number 1. This isn't like he's been on a tear and built up to that. Right out of the gates, rips on the ball, and a tough serve for a lefty down the line to position 1.
Dangerous set, but Puerto Rico keeps it alive. And finally, Guzman showing some muscle.
Great rip there by Guzman. It's divide number 4. The libero has to step in inside the 3-meter line, so he can't use his hands. Great heads-up play there. Realizes he's crossed the line, goes to the bump set, but puts it on the money.
Oh, beautiful serve. That's Manix Roman finding the seam between Jimenez and Garcia.
And that ball moving right to left, pulling back into the seam between Garcia and Jimenez there. Jimenez wants to get out of there and hit a pipe, but he's got to hold that ball. Still stayed in his zone.
Well, we'll see if we can make it 2 in a row here for the Puerto Ricans. It's a good serve, puts them in trouble. Here they have a shot at it in transition, and they do complete. That's Colon.
Well, Colon, just like Escalante, not very high, but up fast and hitting at his highest point very quickly. Good transition here from 9. Sees the pass and immediately gets in the air. Doesn't try to back up and get any more of approach, just gets moving forward from where he was, gets in the air and scores.
Well, Puerto Rico is on top right now. See if they can get on a roll here. Get some daylight. And was there a touch? Yes, a touch is called on the block. So the changes that Gaspar has made paying dividends, certainly defensively.
Well, definitely smart hitting from Puerto Rico here in a jam, and the defense in position, stop, ready to read, and Rivera showing some good range there to track down that ball as trying to be rolled over top of the block.
And the run comes to an end as Roman blows it out the back. Puerto Rico, though, clings to a 1-point lead. Uriarte at the end line, one of the best performing Cubans statistically in the World League. But not very good there, as he hands it straight back over to Puerto Rico.
Well, it's been a theme of the night. Missed serves, killing momentum for teams. Puerto Rico working hard to build an advantage here, and then missing a serve there that really wasn't hard enough to put Cuba in trouble anyways.
And this little roll shot is dug. Here's an opportunity out of the back row. Beautiful shot from Uriarte.
Not seeing too much transition middle from Cuba. They like to go with some fast middle, running the pipe over top of it, or zipping the ball back to Cepeda. Interesting to see if that trend continues.
Well, we'll see if this happens. The dump is there, kept alive, and the block is there. So this one is down to the floor, and just like that, the tables are turned, and now it is Cuba up by a point. They lead 8-7 in the first technical timeout.
That's right, and the free ball in that rally pass so close to the net for Richard to slam down. Almost looked like his hand was on the other side of the net.
Okay, no es por un ratico, no, hay que seguir arriba.
Rodolfo Sanchez having a chat with the guys there. Be interesting to see the demeanor of the coaches if they get later in the set and it stays tight. So far in this match, they've been fairly relaxed, even though they've given away points continually. But the coaching staff has to know that it's vital. Cuba needs a 3-0 win here to stay on pace with the Canadians and keep pressure on them. They just don't want to convey that stress to the younger players. They need them to be relaxed and performing. But at the same time, can't take chances here late in the third set. Give Puerto Rico momentum or the lead which they had.
Luis Tomas Sosa is on the end line, a 20-year-old. Putting the ball now into play. Plays for La Habana, his pro team in Cuba. Club team, rather. Out of the back row comes Cruz. Boy, he had to float a long way to catch up with that set.
He did. And the longer you've got to jump forward, normally you're having a lower contact point, so you're having less of an angle that you can hit. He did a great job there, getting that distance and the forward velocity and still making angle shot.
Did he ever? And this deep ball is just out the back. Guzman is saying it is in. The referee is overruling the linesperson. It was called out, but even Cepeda there is suggesting that it is in. So that point goes to Puerto Rico. He comes right back, though, and scores the point for his squad.
Well, the thing you have to notice about Cepeda and his attack is that he's so good at adjusting on his first and even second step of his approach to be able to flow into where the set is going. So if the set's inside, he's not making a late adjustment and losing that momentum. He's realizing it quickly where he wants to cut it off and gets there fast, which allows him to have so much pace on the attack. We see an inexperienced attacker who will make their fast approach to a spot and then try to jump and adjust to the set. Cepeda does the opposite. He sees the set, sees where he wants to cut it off, whether it's good or bad, and flows through it.
Ragged play on both sides here, but turning into a good rally. One-arm digs all over the place, but finally it is finished off by Cepeda. I'm not sure what happened to Mannix Roman there, but it was one-on-one on the wing.
It wasn't even Goyas, the setter for Puerto Rico, didn't seem to really get a full commit on this. The Puerto Rican block just kind of seemed to stop here. Goyas slow to the net after the shot from Jimenez, walking back up. He's in basically a standing position trying to block Cepeda. No hope there. He's got to get a fast step out and get a jump.
Here comes Cruz out of the back row, and that one is down. Again, some blocking mix-ups there. Nobody from Cuba there looked like they were ready for that.
Well, Javier Gaspar, the Puerto Rican coach, has to be happy. He's made wholesale changes here in the lineup and is still getting great performance out of the guys, even leading this set. And the Cubans can't find an answer for Cruz right now. He's just slicing and dicing and mixing up his contact time a little bit, which I think is throwing the Cubans because he is hitting a little bit late sometimes. But finding holes in the block that no one else can see.
There's Osoria doing it all. And that tactical serve, wanting to serve a middle they don't usually pass, but Osoria just gobbled that one up.
Yeah, made a great pass and got up fast there. Excellent job.
Well, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Beautiful turn from Roman, puts it to the floor.
Mannix Roman, he's got a great arm here. He just comes, again, away from the setter and has the ability to work the ball away from himself with so much power. Typically a hitter's going to be able to pull that ball hard crossbody, but he can do it jumping away and then swinging away from that jump.
But there's no answer for Cepeda as he just continues to work away on that right side.
And this set definitely inside the court. Cepeda coming from way on the left. You see the adjustment he makes, and he lands 2 meters inside the court, and the block isn't making that adjustment that he does.
There's a serve where he takes an awful lot off it and loses control. Guzman! And is he ever pumped? You see him turn to his bench there after that play?
Guzman and Cruz both fired up. These guys obviously like to talk. They play with a lot of heart and fire. Guzman just going after it here, staying aggressive, but hitting high. You can see it's not a blind, hard swing there. He's not trying to put it to the floor. Goes up really aggressive, but hits it hard and flat, which is an incredibly tough ball to block back down into the court.
And a clean ace, not a touch on it, as Puerto Rico is finding some form here. And Sanchez has to take a timeout as they trail by 3.
And you know he's upset because we're 1 point away from a technical timeout, and he's burning a timeout at 15. Rarely do coaches do that.
And Puerto Rico is pumped on the sidelines. You can see those players on the over in the bullpen coming over and high-fiving.
Well, deservedly so. I mean, down 2-0, you can easily fold up shop and go home and have dinner, but Puerto Rico wants to keep this party going all night long if they can. Great energy from the squad, and they're feeding off of each other, really pausing on the floors, where the Cubans are kind of looking at each other, waiting for someone else to make the play.
Well, we know that Cuba is capable of scoring points in bunches, and they're going to have to score a few here to get back into this third set if they want to go with the sweep. Big opportunity here for Puerto Rico to extend. And into the net it goes. That was one of those crucial times. You don't want to miss that serve. We talked about it earlier. Now the side out, crucial here. A 3-point game can quickly turn into a 1-point game.
And with how physical Cuba is at the net, they really got to make Puerto Rico play. I mean, even if it's a situation where the Cuban blockers are one-on-one every single attack at the net against the Puerto Ricans, I would like to think that those athletes from Cuba could get things done from a defensive standpoint and just play those kind of numbers instead of going for these ace serves and trying to make it happen.
Well, we've been talking about serving this whole match so far. Let's take a look at some of the missed serves that we've seen so far. There's Cruz. I mean, that's in the bottom of the net. Roman, just one after another on both sides, too.
Yeah, it's clearly contagious, and as you mentioned earlier, they're the bad misses that you don't want. The serve in the net helps no one. If you're going to miss a serve, you got to miss it long and at least force the passers to make a decision. Is it in? Is it in? Is it out? Can they get out of the way of it? But when you're hitting those balls at 70 to 75% into the belly of the net, it's just simply unacceptable at this level. You got to make a tactical serve, put the passer in trouble, or actually go for it and take a rip with something that will score.
Well, we'll see if Puerto Rico can maintain some aggression here as we are moving towards the later stages of set number 3. They're trailing 2-0, and that one hits Colon right in the hand. Not even close from Cruz. Sosa, he's got a spinner as well, puts this one in. Block is there, but another opportunity. Here comes Colon again, and Cruz!
Cruz is cruising from the back row, just floating in. It's not very high, but he's coming fast, and his contact point is close to the net, and he's able to see the block. Everything's happening in front of him, so he can just work it past, generally into the seam. It's his favorite shot to go to, but just putting it past that outside blocker, working the seam, or a bit of the cross court.
And there's a big serve with topspin. I've got to tell you, Paul, Pablo Guzman has really been a firecracker in this set for Puerto Rico. I mean, he's really brought energy and fighting spirit to the floor.
Well, he has absolutely full marks for the entire 6 on the floor for Puerto Rico. These guys have come out, they've stepped up their game, and they're imposing the flow of the match right now against Cuba, against these bigger, stronger athletes on the other side of the net.
And Sanchez has taken another timeout.
The one communication I haven't seen a lot from the bench to the players on the floor with Cuba is with the setter, Richard. If you take a look at the distribution, more than half the balls are going to 2 guys. They're going to Cepeda and they're going to Uriarte. The other 3 players on the floor combined have only 12 swings on the match out of the serve receive. And so these guys are almost getting iced by the setter. He's got to get a few more guys involved in the attack, get them some confidence in that regard. If they can't get it done from the service line, you can build them up in attacking. Just for the overall confidence and flow of the team, the distribution needs to be a little more balanced.
Well, Uriarte is coming out. Abraham is coming in, the 20-year-old. He's 197, 6'5 and a half, 6'6". This one, though, is long. Cuba doesn't have to earn it. And so they get one back as Richard is on the end line. He's the best setter in Cuba at the cadet and youth levels not that long ago because he is just a youngster. And he serves the ball long. And Sanchez just shakes his head as he walks back and forth on the sideline. So 19-15 here in set number 3. We talked about off the top Puerto Rico's ability to hang around. And there, finally, one of those middle shots. That was to Osorio.
Osorio doing a good job getting in here fast. Nice one-on-one situation for him. So they didn't really see the movement there that Mannix made. Roman jumped to his right, and he still cut it back to him, nearly caught him with that deceptive blocking.
Perfect pass. Here's an opportunity for Cuba to close the gap, and they do easily.
And finally some fire from the Cuban players coming in that huddle after the point. Osorio yelling, bringing some energy. They've been pretty flat as this lead has gotten bigger and bigger from Puerto Rico.
Well, it was one in a row, and that's it. As the double subs now, Uriarte is coming back in for Abraham. And Jimenez had a paddle, but he was waved off. Nice little float serve. That takes the middle out. Cepeda, though, beautiful roll shot. Well, he's showing that he's not all about power.
Well, the smart play from Puerto Rico, as you mentioned, a beautiful tactical serve, eliminated the middle attack there, allowing Puerto Rico's middle to make the right read. They get a good double block up, but Cepeda negates that with an awesome roll shot, tight over the hands.
And cross court, that was a wonderful set. Eddie Rivera, one-on-one.
Goes moving into position 3 here, moving forwards. In the late set, hiding it to the last second and firing it back. Gets a one-on-one for his hitter.
So Puerto Rico is at 21. There's the middle, and it is a big shot. You kind of get the feeling that Cuba could run that middle and score at will.
Yeah, they could. Total distribution is it's 37 balls out of 68 to Uriarte and Cepeda. They get more middle going, get the other left side going a little more. Gonna have a lot of success.
Well, there's an ace serve as Cepeda is doing everything he can to bring his team back in. They are within one now as Puerto Rico takes time.
Well, Cepeda, the veteran, showing his leadership with his play, just steady all night long, aggressive from the service line, the go-to man in broken play. But the Cuban team just seems a little bit disjointed. They aren't functioning as a full unit out there with 6 guys all on the same page.
Well, this next play will be crucial, Paul. If Puerto Rico can get this side out versus Cuba scoring the point, I mean, that could be determine how this match finishes. One of those crucial times. Perfect pass. And the tip scores. So a huge play for Puerto Rico.
It's a solid side out for Puerto Rico with Cuba's best server on the line. You know, in football, they talk about teams' performance in the red zone, as you're alluding to there. In volleyball, it's after 20. You've got to perform. Puerto Rico, so far, so good.
Well, Roman was deadly, but he has also missed a few. This one is good, but so is the pass. And the attack from Cepeda as well.
And Colon, the middle blocker for Puerto Rico, he had a quick coming at him and a pipe. You'll have the same view that he does here. Doesn't really bite, still get some hands out on Cepeda, but the captain just, if you can't get 2 full blockers up on him, he's going to score easily. He's just on fire.
Yes, too much velocity. Uriarte, he is a spin server too. And he blasts it long. So Cuba is doing everything they possibly can to lose this set. And Torres is coming back in for Goaz. So a bigger front row now. We'll see if Cuba goes after Guzman on the backside. He does, and it is down.
And Puerto Rico has no answer for Cepeda. But it doesn't seem to matter because Cuba can't figure out how to serve the ball in the court and let their blockers do their thing.
Well, Albo is going back to serve as Perez is coming in for Cruz. No, that gives Puerto Rico 3 front row attackers. This is what they need. Huge point here. 23-22 for Puerto Rico. Net it goes, barely stays in. Can Torres score? No, the block gets him. A huge point for Cuba has tied this up.
Great serve there, aggressive, hard, flat, catches the top of the tape, Colon all over it. And Puerto Rico forced to go to a bump set. Difficult swinging situation. I think he made the right shot going high, but maybe a little too aggressive knowing that there's going to be a triple block there as the only option as a hitter.
Well, that block is so big, you got to bring that defensive coverage really tight around if you have any opportunity to bring it up.
That's right. I think Javier Gaspar, the Puerto Rican coach, played his cards really well this set. In the first 2 sets, he made that double sub around 16, mid-set, to try to have the advantage of the 3 attackers in the front row. They were rolling along in this set, and he didn't go to it again. He waited until a time when they really need it. He's able to play that option now. He's got his setter in the back row, 3 attackers in the front. It didn't work out in that last rally, but numbers-wise, odds-wise, I think he's in a great position here. Good job coaching.
Well, Puerto Rico looking to get a set point opportunity here on a simple side out. And the ball is served long, so the woes continue for Cuba. And this is Guzman on the end line, and he has been strong. Albo is coming out.
Got 2 blockers coming together, the attacker coming to net, everyone to the same point. You see the collision there, 3 players. Cepeda was clean. He didn't cross the center line. No infraction there. Glad nobody's injured.
And another missed serve, one after another for Cuba. And you got to ask yourself, how many times can they do that? They're dangling the carrot here as Cologne goes back. Simple float going into the middle. This one is dug. An opportunity for the set. It's tight. And it is out of bounds as Torres is on the net.
Angel Perez is just killing himself right now. He had the ball in his hands. He knows he made the setting error there. He set this ball way too tight for his man. He got the option he wanted. Cuba couldn't even get a block up. But unfortunately, Torres couldn't get a proper swing.
Well, and you hope that doesn't come back to bite them, as we've seen before. And did this go? Yes, it was off the block, wiped out of bounds. And this has got to be set opportunity number 5.
And Perez will be subbed out now for Cruz in the front row, but he did redeem himself on that. A beautiful, fast set to the middle when he's coming off the net. So hard to do to have that relationship, but Perez found his middle blocker with a missile of a set, hand to hand.
Well, this is the San Juan native, Maurice Torres, on the end line for Puerto Rico. And it is out of bounds on the sideline. Not by much. Going for the ace, trying to be the hero.
And Torres thought he had it. He thought he painted the corner. Have a look here. This ball moving right down the sideline. Uriarte, fingers crossed. Please be out.
Well, we are tied again here, 26 apiece. And another net serve. Can you believe it, Paul? So many in a row.
I'm almost speechless. I can't comment on it, but it's truly unbelievable. But you have to put yourself in the Cuban player's shoes right now. They can't make a serve. It's completely mental right now. They're not aggressive on the serve. They're tentative. They're serving not to miss right now.
Right.
That's why they're missing.
Exactly. There's a big one and a return miss from Eddie Rivera.
But you see the difference here. The Puerto Ricans going for it, serving tough. It's going a foot long, an inch long. The Puerto Ricans are aggressive. They're in the right mindset. It's a good error. The Cubans completely the opposite. They're at the line shaking. I can't miss this. The last 9 guys in front of me did.
Well, except for this man, Cepeda. Can he get it done? Take something off it. High ball back set, and it is off the defense. Boy, that was a tough out of system play.
Cruz, the enigma. Cuba cannot get a read on this guy. Number 10, full metal swing there. Again, working the seam. Love the passion.
A full rotation with a set point opportunity here. Tough ball, going high. One arm dig, another chance. And the middle, it is throttled.
Awesome rally. Goyes standing in there and strapping on Cepeda's hardest shot. Cepeda's first attack is an absolute missile, sharp cross court. It's going to land 4 meters in if he doesn't touch it. And the ability for Richard to find his middle here is awesome. Who's up quick. Great stuff from both teams.
Well, who is going to blink first here? And there is a miss, Cuba. Look at that save. Cuba, though, a free ball. Will they go middle? Will they go Cepeda? It is the backside and down.
Well, the fans getting a show late here in set number 3. Puerto Rico refusing to quit on any ball, going downtown to pull it back. But the perfect free ball pass sets it up for the captain.
A match point opportunity now for Cuba. Squandered so many. Going to Cruz. There we go. Cepeda. And it is a back row violation. So another error. And we are tied once again.
A little thumbs up from Rodolfo Sanchez, acknowledging it as the right call from the down official. But Puerto Rico doing a good job with the block of getting a piece of that and making the dig had he not been called for the violation.
Cruz has to catch up with this one, and he does! And he does! Garcia is handcuffed.
When Garcia's taking a big step to his left there on that ball, Jimenez didn't move. Right of your screen, Jimenez should be, he reached with his right arm and made some contact there. He doesn't want to touch the ball. He doesn't want to make the mistake. Garcia is forced to come all the way across and try to do something.
Sanchez has come in place of Guzman. A big blocking substitution here. They know this ball is they're suspecting it's gonna go to Cepeda. They want a body in front of it. But it doesn't happen as Colon is late again.
And Cruz unfortunately caught a little bit out of position. He was deep in the court, 6 or 7 meters back, bottom right of your screen. He drops in, and Cepeda cuts it short. He was still moving at the point of attack, but Cepeda, when he's swinging hard, is hitting that ball just a little bit sharper. But you definitely have to be frozen at the point of contact, because if he hits it full out and you're moving like that, you don't have a hope of digging it.
Perfect pass. And this is straight down Guzman.
That's the hang and bang from Guzman. He got in there fast and just rotates as the set crosses his body and pulls it down the line, wiping the block.
Gotta love the way he plays. Got a smile on his face. And so fearless and physical. He is on the end line now with a set point opportunity. Now here's a chance to finish. And it is blocked. It was Guzman. And Cuba just finds a way to hang around.
Well, they're given the chance to block here, Charles. It's what they do. They can fix things with their block, with their athleticism at the net, being so physical.
Richard goes to a float. It's cut off. Nice play. Another wing shot, and the block is there again. It's 2 in a row. And Paul, I am so impressed with Osoria's footwork. His ability to get outside. He's so quick.
As he moves while he's light on his feet.
And this is another match point opportunity now for Cuba. An errant pass. It's going to be a high ball. Another save. Cruz. Another block. Time after time they go. And finally, a miscommunication in the middle. Colon puts it out. And this one is over. But what an entertaining finish.
Just an amazing finish to this match, going right to the wire, 33-31. And it's Cuba's block, demonstrating that final rally again, just how good they are at the net, shutting down each Puerto Rican attack in a one-on-one situation, keeping the pressure there, doing what they do best, and somehow outlasting the Puerto Ricans, who just put up an incredible fight there.
Well, did they ever? And Gaspar making those changes really changed the defensive look on Puerto Rico's side of the court, and then guys like Guzman and Cruz kind of got a little bit hot. But you got to talk about, it was Cuba's blocking that kept them in, but it was their serving that almost did them in.
It was that serving in the third set for a while. You honestly believe that they couldn't get one in the court. Missed serves for set number 3, 11. 11 missed serves. It's just not possible if you think about it. But the changes you mentioned by Javier Gaspar really threw off the Cubans in set number 3, and it took them most of that